Well, hello there. We meet again. It is Sunday evening, the 6th of July, and what a glorious 36 hours it's been for Arsenal Football Club on the transfer front, eh? A bonus late night lounge here on Latte Firm. For all you wonderful viewers, it's been a glorious, glorious news breaking day, and we're going to tuck into all of it. I've been doing the daily grinds. They've been very short and sweet, but just not enough time to chill and let the good times flow and hear from you guys in the chat. So that is where we are going to go tonight. We're going to take your questions as we go along. Coming up tonight, we are going to talk about, of course, Victor Gyökeres and now not so much Benjamin Sesko. The move for our number 9 has made progress. We are closing in on the Swedish hitman. And if you're interested in a deep dive in Victor Gyökeres, check out today's daily grind from earlier on in the day. That with my good friend Gunnar Punner. It's on the channel feed already. We're going to talk about Martin Zubimendi and what he might bring to the team. He's finally here and he's perfect. I've seen all the photos, seen all the pass maps. I'm very giddy about this particular transfer. And of course, Noni Madueke, progress is being made. Personal terms have been agreed. Arsenal and Chelsea are in negotiations for the England-wide player. So want to get all your thoughts. Going to take lots of chat and we're going to go through tonight's show. The show wouldn't be complete without our 2 regular panelists from the Late Night Lounge on Friday. And those of you who don't like the snacks will be pleased to know there is no snack check tonight. We are saving that. That is the holy grail on a Friday night. So let's bring them in without further ado. And I will bring up some of the chat once we've got them all in. So here we are. Wayne Bellet, Mbappe. How the devil are you, boys? It's been a busy, busy day for Arsenal.
I hope I'm getting paid for overtime.
Yeah, exactly. Where's our overtime pay?
I didn't expect this tonight.
I didn't think this through. So yeah, chat, ladies, gents, boys and girls. I sent them a message today saying, look, there's been a lot going on. I think we should treat the viewers, the loyal viewers, to a bonus late night lounge. And here we are. So thank you both for your time. What's the word? Excited?
Yeah, of course you got to be.
Of course you are.
Yeah, of course it is. It's signings. It's an actual confirmed signing. And then obviously one is very close for the number 9, which look, we'll talk about it, but of course it is. How can you not be excited? If we're not excited about the signings, then you're not a football fan. What's the point? It's ridiculous how the fan base gets so riled by, oh, it's not the person that we want. Come on, people, we're signing players. That's what you want.
It's been a mad few hours really today, especially. It's just been like news overload, and it looks like the train is finally going. So hopefully it continues.
It is, and it's content overload as well. So welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Latte Firm. Please do like the video. It's a massive help to the channel. We've been just shy of 500 likes on all of our recent videos. If we can get that tonight, 500 likes plus, that would be amazing. And of course, subscribe if you're new and enjoy the show. These are, for any newbies, longer shows, not quite the daily grind. You'll have plenty of time to get your chat in, plenty of time to get questions to the panelists. And of course, we'll cover all the content. Let's head straight to the chat. Albrecht was first in the house. Says, good evening all. What a day of news. Zubi is a gunner, giving us the hearts as well. Didn't Zubimendi look absolutely sensational in his Arsenal shirt? We're going to talk all about that. Jonathan K, echoing what you've just said there, Wayne. This is the biggest news of the day. Extra late night lounge. But Gyökeres has overshadowed Zubi, but what a signing. Rice and Zubi in their elite. We're going to talk about that potential partnership. Vivlad, thank you for joining. Oh, it's so good to see our loyal viewers in the house because they know the journey we've been on, the pain that we've had to endure, and the excitement that we now have. Vivlad says, good evening, guys. On a Zubi Madueke Gyökeres day, this surprise late night lounge is the biggest bomber. FK is spoiling us. Well, these two are spoiling us as well. Tamina's in the house. Gyökeres joining Arsenal. Rodrigo joining Arsenal too. Zubimendi Arsenal. Eze joining Arsenal. Mosquera joining Arsenal. This is too much. This is too much for my little head to take. Kentrell, welcome to the show. Early prediction, Arsenal sign Gyökeres, Eze and Madueke. Eze will be starting left wing, Madueke back up to Saka, and Eze at left wing. Yeah, you said that. So good you said it twice. Viggs, 2 lives in one day, FK. Recent reports indicate that Leao is available for as little as £60 million. And there are Arsenal fans who are entertaining the idea of Madueke for 50-odd million. Make it make sense. We're going to try to make it make sense. Jugsby, welcome. Forder, welcome. Thank you for the kind words as well. Oshin, thank you. The tempo setter is official. Zubimendi, of course, the volume dial that we've often described him as on this show. Dave's in the house. Jeet's in the house. Mr. Clock's in the house. It is. We are serious. 2 shows in one day. There are so many comments. I know I've been doing this channel for like 3 years now, but I need to learn how to deal with the chat. This is crazy. Double F. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Good evening, everyone. Emra. Love how excited you are, FK. I am mad excited. There's got to be one, though. No to Madueke. Is that the hashtag that we're going on tonight? We shall see. There is a super chat in here somewhere, I've just been told. Assad, welcome to the show. All three of your gut feelings. Do we sign Eze? Well, let's give that a quick yay or nay right now. Assad, thank you first of all for your very generous donation to the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Gents, do we think we're going to get Eze?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think you don't meet with the player. Arteta does not meet a player unless he's serious about what's going to happen. But it'll come down to Crystal Palace's attitude towards, letting him go. He's served them well, all this kind of stuff. So fee is now the problem. I think he wants to join us desperately. It's now like Gyökeres. How much does he want to do it? What lengths will he go to? Don't
they all want to join? Wayne, you sure of it as well?
I wouldn't say sure of it, but my gut feeling says, yeah, we'll get him. And I think that I only really have a doubt now over one signing that we may or may not make. And that's probably the biggest one of the summer, but we'll talk about that a bit later.
We will. Assad, I think we're going to nab him as well. And that's a signing that really excites me. I wasn't too blown away at the start. I thought it'd be like a luxury signing if it meant that we weren't going to get our wide player. But the more I see of him, read about him, watch about him, the more I want it to happen. It's an unfinished fairy tale there to be written. But Assad, thank you for your very kind generation. JK Mayingo, welcome, says, good evening, FK in the chat. What a day to be a gunner. Exciting times ahead. Mike spotted it. 2 latte firms in one day. I don't think we've ever done this before. 2 latte firms in one day. This is sensational. FK moving like a prime Berta. Grumpy Doctors in the house says, help us make sense of all of this, FK. I know. Tell me about it. We've had weeks, a whole month went in June when nothing was happening. And we were getting so frustrated. And here we are. We just can't control ourselves. It has been such a wonderful day today. Ad says, look at my face. He's buzzing. I wish these two would cheer up. DK's in the house. He says, where is he? Oh, the chat's moved so fast. FK, pay them overtime, you bloody Tory. Thank you for that, DK. Really appreciate that. Joe says, big up Verge, Wayne's World and Verge. Big up Verge, Wayne's World and Verge.
Not you.
Oh, goodness. So good they named me twice.
Not me. I know. Tell me about it. Karen's in the house as well. Lovely to see that. Chris Davison. Good evening, gents. What a day it's been. I believe the word is gargantuan. It is indeed. By the way, hundreds of you watching live on YouTube already. Very, very grateful for that. Do like the video. Big help to the channel. Subscribe, of course, if you are new. Right. Gents, let us talk about the pursuit of a number 9. Those of you who tuned into today's Daily Grind might be familiar with some of these images, but I promise you they are under a slightly different context. Can you guys see anything on screen at the moment? Yes, you can. There we are.
It's flash. There we go.
Now, there we go.
There we are. Right. So the pursuit of a new number 9. For the longest time, we have been after Benjamin Sesko of Leipzig and after Victor Gyökeres of Sporting Lisbon. But Wayne, the news has broken that finally our hitman looks like it's going to be the Swede. He's already agreed a 5-year contract. You were saying before we went live on air that he is willing to take a hit financially to get this move over the line. How do you feel? How excited are you about the prospect of Victor Gyökeres lining up at Arsenal?
Are you sure it's not Berta doing negotiation tactics to try and get Leipzig to lower the fee for Sesko? Are we 100% certain of that?
Well, we park that thought because we will cover that right at the end. But let's just go with the flow. Fabrizio Romano saying today, Hand of Arsenal has confirmed also, and 1 or 2 other journalists now beginning to come out saying, this is the guy.
Yeah, I'm glad that we finally got here in the end, and I'm glad we finally made a decision. And I'm really, really glad that it's someone who now seemingly really, really wants to play for us. All of the reports up till now has been him and his camp are trying to force this move. Now, you can argue it's probably because it's his last chance at a big move to a club like this, or he just wants to get out of Sporting, whatever you want to think on the negative side of it. I am the complete opposite, that he's a player that wants to be at our club. He wants to play for Arteta. He sees himself mentality-wise being the difference between us winning trophies and being big hitters in Europe and in the Premier League. And I think, look, you can say what you want about the Portuguese league. You can say what you want about his numbers. The reality is he does not need to hit 55 goals in a season to be successful for us. Now, I would absolutely adore it if he did. If he came and replicated the exact same numbers in England as he done in Portugal, he would be a legend in history for life because those numbers are extraordinary. But if he just comes here and replicates like a 50, he hits at like a 50% ratio, we're still in a much better position than we were for the past 2 seasons. We haven't had a genuine number 9 for a number of years. Even when we signed Gabriel Jesus, he was our number 9, but he wasn't a genuine out-and-out number 9 like Gyökeres is. And I'm just excited to see what he can bring. I think the biggest thing is that he's coming in before, and we've all said it on this show for all of the sort of late night lounges on Fridays, he needed to be in before the start of the preseason tour. And this is a guy who's meant to be back at Sporting tomorrow for training, and he was all talking about going on strike just to make this deal happen. So yeah, I'm very, very happy. And I think although I was a Sesko fan of the two, I always preferred Sesko. Leipzig asking for the release clause or the majority of the release clause up front to let him go, look, this financially makes more sense for us because we need multiple positions across that front line. And this allows us to do that whilst bringing in a guy that can absolutely hit the back of the net. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
I am too. By the way, Joe says, I'm that excited. And he actually sort of called me here we go. He said, Latte Firm, turning into a coffee shop now. I don't know what that means, but I'm taking it. I'm taking it with the good vibes today. Hopefully that's a positive thing. By the way, another very generous super chat to the channel. Really appreciate it, Nathan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you also for your suggestions of songs. Now, I've got to be honest, I don't think I can recall either of these two songs, but he says Eze should be We Want Easy by Eazy-E, presumably, and the Gyökeres song should be Go Go Godzilla. Have either of you two heard either of these two tunes?
Not well enough to put it into Eze or Gyökeres. I don't know the Go Go Godzilla one. I kind of know the Eazy-E one, but not like majorly.
Okay. Well, listen, Yembele being the eldest out of the three of us, I doubt he's heard of either of these two. It's lucky he's heard of the players.
Just on the point you made there, I see a chat mentioning about how has Gyökeres given up money. I think the way that it's worked out is he was obviously owed maybe some sort of bonus from Sporting, a 2 million bonus, whether it's appearances, goals, loyalty, whatever it is. He's leaving that on the table to ideally get the deal done quicker.
Yeah, that's what I read as well, just kind of coming on to tonight's show. If that's the case, look, he's desperate to play for Arsenal, aren't they all? And so if that is the case, then I want someone who's really hungry. I mean, let's take a look at Viktor Gyökeres's shot map. He is a goal machine. I mean, look at those stats, ladies and gents, boys and girls. 39 goals in the Primera Division in Portugal last year, exceeding his XG of 30.7. Granted, he scored 12 penalties within those 39 league goals, but he's scoring a goal every 72 minutes, which is insane. Yem, your initial thoughts and a question that has been asked: does he, if he joins, says Ben, get the number 14 shirt? Is that the level of player we're talking here? Oh, Wayne's shaking his head already. Go on, Yem. Tell us about your thoughts on Victor.
That's a big mantle to take up. The number 14. I mean, Theo Walcott was a legend at our club. You know,
with Eddie, and was Eddie, but let's not talk about that.
Oh, Eddie as well. I mean, look, these are standards. It's a big one. If he takes the 14, that's he's got some stones on him. Look, his as Wayne said, his scoring feats are undeniable. He's a machine. He's scored, you know, outside of Kylian Mbappe, he's scored the most goals in Europe. We obviously have questions about the Primera Division and the Primera Liga and the quality of opposition. So that's one area. And as you said, he scored a lot of penalties, but the man knows where the goal is. That's not in doubt. And we need someone who knows where the goal is. We struggle genuinely. You know, our number 9 currently is very good technically, very gifted in other areas, but when he comes to being in front of goal, he's not a killer. Viktor Gyökeres, with all the stats and everything, is a killer in front of goal. And that's what you kind of want from you want something different. Kai Havertz is a fine player, and I love him to death. He will do things that Gyökeres cannot do. But within the box, when you want to take a chance, when you want to score a scrappy goal, when you want to have something out of nothing, which we don't have, this is the player you look at. I saw one of his goals for Coventry in the playoffs, and it was unreal. And you're kind of going, okay, that's what I want. I want something out of nothing, because we don't get those kind of goals. We never really do we? We're very much build up, and then we score, and then great, that's fine. But we have games where we need a goal poacher, a predator, someone sliding in the box, someone being in the box, being available, trying to take a shot. And this is what this guy does. Like Wayne, I was on the Sesko train. I'm on, I still favor Sesko, but we are now progressing with a number 9, which we wanted before the preseason. So I'm not going to sit here and complain, go, oh, it's not the one I wanted. We had 2 good options, and we decided to go with one of them who wants to play for us. As Clive put it as well, who's very popular on Arsenal Twitter. He has the mentality, and at this level, mentality is everything. He's got this mentality where he wants to be the main man. He is now coming to a big European club where he has the chance to cement his legacy, to be a decisive game changer for Arsenal, because we've all been crying out for this kind of player. We all know that we have technical players, we have players who can create, Saka, Martinelli, etc., and whoever else we get in, but we don't have a true finisher. For the first time in a couple of years, we now have a true finisher. If he does it, he will cement himself absolutely in folklore. And if he delivers us a Premier League title or even a Champions League, it's going to enhance his reputation. So this is a massive challenge for him. He's 27. There are no excuses for him anymore. He has scored goals. He has a reputation coming in. If he doesn't back it up, then he'll be found out very, very quickly. But if he does make it, then boy, do we have someone who is going to change how we play, because it's not just scoring goals, but it's also the unpredictableness of what we offer. So I'm fully, I fully admit it's not my primary striker, but am I excited? Of course I am. It's a number 9, people. We're finally getting a number 9 that will actually go on the pitch and look for goals, not just try to build up play, but actually sniff out a goal, take a shot, get in the box. I'm more than excited for it. I just wanted my striker done before the preseason, and it looks like it will be.
Well, I mean, Mikel talked about how desperate he was to have a striker in the ranks before the 19th of July, which of course is now less than 2 weeks away. That's the start of our preseason and all the tours and all that sort of stuff that we're going to do. So I think it's really important that we try and sort of get motoring and get this deal over the line. I love the reference that you made to what Clive was saying on the Arsenal Vision podcast. Good old Uncle Clive, man of wisdom. And he was just basically saying that, he'd heard about the mindset of both of these players and how Sesko, when the prospect of playing for Arsenal came up, there was a bit of doubt. He didn't sort of, back himself to be the number 1 striker at Arsenal. He was wondering whether he could overtake Kai Havertz. Whereas he'd heard, from the Victor Gyökeres camp, Gyökeres is coming in to rip that shirt off Havertz's back. He wants to be the starting number 9. What we know about this guy, when you look at the goal, sort of the goal map on screen, courtesy of Optra Analyst, he is very much he's just a hitman. Given the ball in the box, 6 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards out, this boy is going to score goals. And I love how the ball, the pink dots are sort of evenly spread. It's not just, near post finishes, far post finishes, penalty spot finishes. It's like all around the box, including a couple of shots from outside the area. He's also peppered a lot of shots, which is great. And, to those people that say, well, he's been given a lot of space at Sporting Lisbon. It's not quite the competitive league. He's got loads of penalties. I get all of that. But again, the goalposts don't move. Going 1v1 with the keeper doesn't change. Like the game is quite instinctive. He is speed, he is power, he has a brutal left and right foot. And, the fact that he's played for Coventry as well, you mentioned it. I know you've got a soft spot for Coventry as a city, but he's ready to take on the physical battle of what was the Championship. He's gone to Portugal. He smashed it there. He is going to come here, and I think he's going to be a fantastic addition to the team. Can I just check what slide I've got up next? Because, no, that's Martin Zubimendi. Yep. Right. Before we do that, there's a question here about Kai Havertz. And Wayne, I want to get your thoughts on it. I'll come to you as well on this, Yem. Sorry, were you going to say something, Yem?
I was just also going to say there is a technique that he has that not many players do have, even good strikers, which is his cleanness of his ball striking ability. It's a really rare thing to have such a clean ball striker. So that's another thing. He's purely a predator, and that's what we should respect, that we're getting someone who's going to offer us something different, who is going to absolutely leather the ball. He's not going to be shy about it. And again, that's just a plus for him.
It is. And also, you just reminded me, when the transfer speculation first started out, I was always keen on Victor Gyökeres. You know, there were shows where I was like, no, this is the guy. He is the gunman. He is the one that we want. And then when people started talking about Šeško and how much, not of a project he is, but like his physical traits and the ceiling and the potential of this boy, you know, he's younger, physically 6'5", aerial beast. He's been playing in the Bundesliga, all that sort of stuff. I kind of almost convinced myself that actually Šeško might be the better option for Arsenal. But now that we've actually made the move for Victor, and now that we're closing in on him, my sort of romance for him is kind of, you know, rekindled again. And I really want this guy. Like, I think he's going to be fantastic. The question to you, and I'm going to put a question out in the poll. I've just forgotten that. I'm just getting used to these things. Wayne, who would be first choice? So imagine playing a big game tomorrow. Havertz and Gyökeres are both there, both fit. What do you do? Because Farhan says Havertz starts for me. Gyökeres is competition, but that's what we need. We need the depth. I don't know how you pronounce that name. Manolite? I don't know. Anyway, my friend says my gut feeling is Havertz will start most of the season at 9, but Gyökeres will add quality to our depth. Gyökeres is going to come in and be the starting centre forward, isn't he, Wayne?
Yes, he is. I think so. And that's no disrespect to Kai Havertz, because there's going to be more than enough games across all competitions for him to start at number 9. There's going to be enough games for Havertz to start in Ødegaard's position, in the left 8, whatever it might be. But we're not spending 60 to 70 million pounds on a guy to be just as a number 9, to not be the number 9. Like, we've seen what Kai Havertz can do, and yes, he's a fantastic player who has helped us in the last couple of seasons, but he has limitations that Gyökeres doesn't have. And although Kai Havertz also has some strengths that Gyökeres doesn't have, I just think that we're not spending this amount of money to just sit him on the bench for more games than Kai Havertz. I think Kai Havertz's versatility will come into play here, and I can see him playing a lot with Gyökeres. I could see him playing alongside Gyökeres. I could see him playing deeper than Gyökeres, and it will be interesting to see how that will work out between the two. But I'm very, very much expecting on day one, because you're obviously talking about big games. Game 1 away at Old Trafford, that is a huge game, and I expect Gyökeres to be the starting number 9 on. I'm expecting him to be the starting number 9 now that he's getting the full.
You expect him to be the starter at Old Trafford, Wayne?
Yes, I do.
He's going to dunk on Ruben Amorim. You're saying that
100%.
me and Wally are going to be celebrating like this in front. Oh, come on!
No, I'm not saying that part. But yes, I expect him to start at Old Trafford now that he's getting a full preseason in. I expect him to start at Old Trafford. Absolutely.
Wow. Yembele, where do you stand on this debate? Havertz or Gyökeres? That's the question that I've asked in the poll, by the way. So if you're watching live on YouTube, as are just shy of 1,000 of you right now, get involved in the vote. Who would be your starting centre forward? Kai Havertz or Victor Gyökeres? Yem.
It's going to be down to pre-season form, isn't it? We're going to see both of them play. We're going to see how they perform. I'm like Wayne, you don't pay this kind of money if you're going to bench the person. I would expect.
Hang on. But surely that applies to Kai Havertz. I mean, we paid more for Havertz, and we pay him more a week. I mean, Gyökeres is on a salary of 39 grand. He's a week. He's probably going to come in and maybe treble that. And the fee, they're rumored 65 million euros as a starting negotiation with, or maybe that includes add-ons. So same applies to Kai, surely.
I think I just get the feeling that the preseason will tell us a lot about how we're going to structure ourselves, and I'd be very surprised if Victor Gyökeres is not the starter at Old Trafford. But having said that, if he has a stinker of a preseason, then maybe Arteta says, "Look, you're not ready yet." Look, he has played in the Championship, granted, but he's gone to Portugal. He's been used to that for a number of years. He's played Champions League, obviously, but he's still got to come back and retune himself just to the physical nature, and he's going to do that very quickly. When you're playing against Gabriel Saliba in training, you will get retuned very quickly. But if he impresses, then it will be the start. He will start there. And it's interesting. And Kai Havertz will get start games. He's too good of a player not to. It will depend on the nature of what we need. He can play so many positions and play so many areas that I don't think he's going to be wanting. But I do think that, you want to instill that kind of, we have bought a deadly predator that is going to change the game. You want to create that kind of uncertainty with that Man United defense, because I don't see it still as a unit that's going to necessarily be stable enough to cope with our potential attack. And when you go to Old Trafford, last year we didn't really have that threat. We were good. We were a good team, but United knew that we weren't a threat up front because we weren't. But this time, you go there with a show of strength. You put your strongest team out with Gyökeres, maybe even with Havertz. You don't know. Again, it may prove that in pre-season, both of them can play together really well, and then you create, ultimate chaos, because those two together, I can see some really good possibilities.
Well, talking of together, it's a popular shout in the chat. Maybe this is an extension of Mikel Arteta's kind of setup and the way that we evolve as a team. There is no reason why we couldn't play, two up top together. Havertz being that sort of, gangly target man, running, doing all the sort of hard work, creating the space, and Gyökeres just being the, the killer in front of goal. I'd like to see that. And it depends on, opposition, depends on in-game scenarios. And I think also football's just going to evolve, right? We've got managers that are now coming in playing with a back three. We might go to a diamond or a 4-2-2-2. Like, there's so many different options, so many different things that we could do. And that's, I think, what Arteta needs. He needs that depth, but he needs the unpredictability. He needs the versatility to be able to call upon players and change things up when things aren't working. There were too many games last year where we didn't have a forward, obviously, but too many games also, going back to the point about Eze at the start of the show, when Ødegaard just wasn't right. And so when he's not on fire, you need to have people off the bench that can come on and make an impact, even if he was on fire, depending on who you play. And, Gunnar Punner mentioned it on the Daily Grind earlier today. Like last season, we really struggled with the lesser teams in the bottom half of the table. Those are just going to sit tight, and we need that flat track bully. We need someone who's going to bulldoze straight through them. And this guy has the speed, has the power. I think he's going to do a lot of damage. So really interested to see that. It's interesting, the split in opinion. Sani says Gyökeres 30-goal season. Mark says be prepared for your expectations to be shattered. And listen, we respect, this channel is not sensational. We don't, we're not going to hang anyone out to dry. Football opinion is that's the way that it works. And I understand there are lots of people in the chat, lots of people in the fan base that will be really sad that we're not getting Benjamin Sesko. But like Wayne said earlier, 80-90 million pounds all up front. It's just too big a ask. I described it earlier as you could be looking for your dream house, and you get there, you view it, you fall in love with it, and then bidding war starts, or the asking price is just beyond your capability. And it doesn't matter how you structure the deal. If it's beyond your capability, you've got to act fast, you've got to move, and you've got to go somewhere else. And I think with all that we're trying to do this window, Gyökeres seems a very sensible signing. Keenan says 4-2-3-1. I can see Havertz starting some games in the 10 behind Gyökeres. That's a great shout. I'd love to see how they both play this season. Let's
just on the end of that conversation before we sort of hear the results of the poll there. The reality of the situation is, and Pep has made a real habit of this, and anyone that plays fantasy football across the season, I know you try, FK, that you give up after like 2 weeks. Anyone that plays fantasy football will know that Man City and Pep do this all the time. We talk about best 11 on paper or whatever, you know your best 11. The reality of the situation is your best 11 on paper may not necessarily be your best 11 for your next opponent. So our best 11 versus Manchester United may not be the same best 11 at home against Leeds. And the reason for that is because of the way that they play. At Old Trafford, I would expect Manchester United to leave us a little bit more space. So I think that Gyökeres is more beneficial to a game like that. Whereas at home against Leeds, I would expect them to try and play some football, but they're probably going to sit back a lot more than Manchester United. And they're going to try and soak up pressure. So that game probably suits Kai Havertz more. So yes, you should absolutely know in the back of your mind, if you're going to go up against Manchester City at home, you probably want to play your best or as close to your best 11 as possible. But the reality is, week in, week out, your best 11 changes, and it should change based on the opponent that you're facing.
Also, as well, just to round out that point as well, we want competition. Kai Havertz has been the lone striker for a number of years. Victor Gyökeres is a scoring machine. But you want that competition between them to improve each other. That's the only way players improve, is by competition, by striving to be the best. And we haven't had that for a number of years. Eddie Nketiah was not any competition for Kai Havertz, with all due respect. But this is now going to be a true test of both their mettle. Who is the one who is going to really grab the bull by the horns? Kai Havertz could have an outstanding season. We know he's bulked up. He could have an outstanding season, and then credit to him. But Victor Gyökeres as well could just say, look, I'm here, as Clive said, to rip the shirt off Kai Havertz's back. I want that attitude. I want the competition, because that's what it should be between it. That's what you should be for Arsenal. We should have the absolute best on the field, the ones who have done it in the week, to play and prove it in the match.
I also think having, someone of his caliber, either as a backup or as an alternative, and I know, Gabriel Jesus was thought of that, but he's been really, terrible bad luck with injuries and stuff during his time at Arsenal. I think it just sort of, it spreads the burden. It spreads the weight of carrying this football club and being expected to deliver goal after goal after goal, week after week after week. We saw what happened to Kai Havertz towards the back end of the season, run into the ground, covered all that sort of distance, he lost his legs and now he's looking fantastic. He's really beefed up and, he's probably relishing the prospect of a little bit of competition next season, but it is about spreading that load. And I'm really excited about it. Just last couple of things before I reveal the answer to the poll. Kovacs, whose opinion I really love, says Odegaard is going to cook next season with Victor Gyökeres. I hope so, my friend. We need that player that is constantly playing on the shoulder of a defender, that wants to run in behind, that it just wants to shoot, gets the ball, takes on a player and just smashes the ball into the back of the net. I really hope Odegaard is fit and he is ready. Teams will play even deeper again. I mean, is that even possible? Man in the mirror? I don't know. But whatever it is, that if a team plays deep, you either go through them, around them, over them. This guy's going to bulldoze through them. I've just got that feeling in my juice. DK says, Wayne is spot on as per. All right, steady on, mate. We need to be thinking beyond 11s. We need a squad of 20 to 24 players. And that is exactly why we are doing this move. Kai needs the help. Arteta needs the options. And I'm excited. And it feels like, where's the poll gone? I don't even know where it is. Right, here we go. The poll results are in. So who would be your starter up front for Arsenal? That is what I asked the chat. Gyökeres 72%, and just over a quarter of you think Havertz will be your starting centre forward, or you prefer Havertz to be your starting centre forward. Amazing. Lots of regular names in the chat. Welcome to the show. If you've just joined, what is that? Who's that?
My daughter going nuts.
Oh, fantastic. So she's...
Of course it is, yeah. Of course it is.
Of course it is. For anybody new, anybody wondering, Yembele's daughter always graces us with her appearance on a late
Oh, it's
night
not her
lounge.
appearance. She's singing right now.
Just making noise. Fantastic. Keep doing that. For anybody who's just tuning in for the first time, these aren't obviously the Daily Grinds. The Daily Grinds is a daily show, very short feature that we do on the channel. There are plenty of those sort of episodes on the feed in case you want to look back. There's a really great episode on Martin Zubimendi, who we'll come on to next. This is a late night lounge, normally on a Friday night, but given all the buzz and the excitement around today, we've decided to do a bonus show. So much slower pace. Get involved in the chat, and I'm grateful for all of you. Just under 1,000 of you watching right now. Please do drop a like in the video and subscribe if you are new. Let's move on to he's here and he's perfect. Wayne, our metronome, our new central midfielder, has joined finally out of nowhere. No, I kid. I mean, look, this has been ongoing for over a year, right? Turning down the chance to sign for Liverpool and for Real Madrid, obviously wanted to save himself for the biggest club in the world, and now he's finally here. Thoughts, Wayne?
Yeah, I'm glad to get this one over the line. Someone who is probably rightly considered as one of the best midfielders in the world at the minute, particularly with his performances for Spain recently. It will be interesting to see how he settles in with the groove of the Premier League. I know a lot of fans were talking about Gyökeres maybe taking time to get used to the Premier League. I think if someone isn't going to start early and will take a little bit of time to get used to it, I think it may be Zubimendi. I think we could see Declan Rice potentially being that main six starter for the first couple of games of the season, just as Zubimendi gets acclimatized to the pace, the physicality of the league. But the quality is on show, and the fact that we managed to get this deal done from over a year ago is real credit to the club, because he's someone, like you said, that the big boys really wanted, and it was close. It was touch and go last summer that he would join Liverpool, and then he looked outside, saw some mountains in Spain, and thought, "Nah, I'm going to stick around." But the fact that he stuck around really to join us is fantastic. And I know that we've had a lot of stick for the likes of Edu in recent years, but credit to him, because he seemingly was a big part of this deal in getting it done, and making sure that all of the processes were at least started on the right track to get this one done. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to him play as the six in our midfield, and I'm looking forward to seeing him with Declan Rice. Ideally, it's along with Declan Rice a little bit of a shift in the way that he plays. I don't want him as high up and as close to goal as he has been in the past. He's fantastic doing that, but maybe if we tweak it a little bit so that it's a bit more of a pivot and give him a bit more license and freedom rather than starting so sort of high up in that left eight. That would be fantastic to see. But yeah, it's someone, if Real Madrid want you, you're a top quality player.
Yeah, listen, if Mikel Arteta wants you, you're a top quality player. But you're right. I think, look, this is a signing to be very excited about. Feels a little bit subdued, a little bit flat, yeah, because we've been waiting for it for so long. And then, of course, you know, there were talks about it being delayed into the new PSR financial year just to help both clubs, I guess, in terms of, you know, phase out the payments. We are paying just over the release clause, so we can pay it in installments. A couple of random things, yeah. Martin Zubimendi obviously will be working with Mikel Arteta as manager, but they were both born in San Sebastian in the Basque country. So he's obviously played for Spain, played in the Euro 24s, played recently in the Nations League where he had a really, really good spell for the national team. He played obviously at Real Sociedad alongside Ødegaard and Marino. In fact, he's played quite a lot of football alongside Mikel Marino. So hopefully that'll be something that'll, you know, put him in good stead in terms of you know, that sort of familiarity. I think they played just shy of 170 games together, which is great. He's obviously got the, you know, he's Spanish. He's going to settle in. He's going to be well integrated. I mean, this is something that we're really looking forward to. Yem, how do you feel?
Yeah, obviously we're looking forward to it. I know people are a bit tired of this one because it's been dragged out for a year, but we're paying for a top quality midfielder. 60 million is nothing to sniff at. We're paying a quite heavy sum, but as Wayne said, you're paying it for one of the best midfielders in the game at the moment. So we should be excited. I'm personally really, really excited to see how he works with our two starters, who are supposedly Rice and Martin Ødegaard. But you know, we should be excited. This is a really big signing. A really top-level player has decided to join Arsenal, has forsaken Real Madrid. You know, again, we don't know how much Real Madrid's interest was, but Liverpool as well, we know that. And he's joining us. We are crying out for this kind of midfielder, someone who is going to allow Martin Ødegaard and Declan Rice to free up further up the field to affect the games. You know, we were talking about Victor Gyökeres and Kai Havertz, but we need our midfield to step up even more. We need Declan Rice to be in those 8 positions to score the goals that he started scoring last season. And we need the reassurance of Martin Ødegaard not having to come deep to retrieve the ball and to try and affect the game, because Martin Zubimendi should be that person. He is the metronome. You know, that's what he does for Spain. And we kind of need that kind of player to keep us ticking over, to keep the ball moving quicker. One of the problems that we've had for the last couple of years is that we are a little slow in our build-up. We're not quick enough to transition from, you know, the defense to the attack. But with Zubimendi, the expectation is we should have a better chance of doing that. That's not a guarantee, but we should be better at doing that. It's also, you know, if you look at his stats defensively, he's very good defensively as well. So, you know, he tends to drop into the defense to grab the ball and also to help the defense. So, you know, Arteta doesn't choose this kind of position willy-nilly. He bought Declan Rice and paid 100 million for him because he was certain this one was going to add something to our midfield. He then goes and gets Zubimendi 2 years later because he realizes this is an opportunity to get the player that he wanted to complement that midfield. I think, for me personally, this feels like the final piece of the jigsaw for his perfect midfield, i.e. he's got the running power, Declan Rice, the technical attacking phase builder, who is Martin Ødegaard. But then you've got Zubimendi, the metronome, ticking it over, keeping it in defense and moving between those pieces. Look at that. Look at those passes. That is unbelievable.
This guy is a pass monster. And I love this picture, by the way. This is courtesy of Arsenal.com, but he is a passing monster. And everybody I've spoken to, describes him as the quarterback, the metronome, the controller. You know, this guy is going to be that volume dial. Like when we need to up the tempo, when we need to press high up, when we need to play from deep, he's, as Clive says, and I keep saying it, I wish I could trademark this, but he's got every club in both feet, every golf club in both feet. So i.e. he can, you know, short pass, long pass, diagonal pass, little ping down the line, up the line, over the defender, over the top, like wherever you want to do, he can do it. So I think it's going to get us playing quicker. It's going to get the ball out both to the right and the left-hand side. And let's face it, chaps, the left-hand side, ever since Granit Xhaka sort of left, has been quite dysfunctional. And of course, we've had 5, 6, 7, 8 new different left-backs playing behind Martinelli. I really hope that Martin Zubimendi coming in, makes us a bit more unpredictable because all the teams know that we go down the right. Hopefully, it'll allow players like Martinelli or anybody else that we have on that left-hand side, whether it's Eze, Rodrigo, whoever, to thrive. And I just think it's going to be a fantastic signing. I mean, these are the passing the pass map courtesy of Optra Analyst from last season. Absolutely sensational. 84% pass accuracy. You can see that he likes to play from deep. We'll bring up his positioning in just a second. Go on, Yem.
The other thing as well is we come back to flexibility. This idea of being tactically flexible. He can play the 6. Declan Rice can play the 6. You can have a double pivot. You can have him, Declan Rice, further forward. Martin Odegaard further. There's flexibility in that. He has played the lone 6. He plays it very well for Spain. So I'm excited because for the first time in a while, we have the ability to change our game state in game. If we want to move to the double pivot because we see that we're being pressed upon too much by the midfield, Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi can drop into a double pivot. But if you feel that we're getting all the midfield ball, move further forward, allow Zubimendi to find Rice further forward, to find Odegaard a bit further forward. I am really excited with this one. This is, we bought Jorginho, a bit older, but had that kind of, passing metronomic capability. What he didn't have was legs. Martin Zubimendi has legs. He's very good at recovering, very good at covering the ground. This is what I think Arteta was looking at for his end game in terms of, this is my number 6. He got Declan Rice earlier and he plays 6 very well, but he's not, in terms of passing wise, what he wanted. He wanted him further forward. This is the one. This is the one that is supposedly, by the looks of it, is going to make the team tick. And I can't wait. That we got him for this first preseason in Spain, because there's 2 parts to our preseason. We've got Spain as a training camp, and then we obviously get into our main preseason. But to bed him in early, get him really going with the team, understand, get him accustomed to how we play, how we train. That's the best thing we could have done.
It is. Lots of people talking about his shirt number, by the way, not really understanding why 36.
Get it in the bin. Get it in the absolute bin.
Whoa, come on. Elaborate.
No, I cannot stand it.
What has he done?
That's a bit strong.
No, I don't care. At some stage this season, we're going to see a midfield 3 wearing 36, 41, and 29. The game is absolutely gone. That is just
get
it in the absolute.
You're single digit man, are you? You're single digit man. For you.
No, because I would have been happy with him taking 18. He wears that for Spain. That would look beautiful. 36, utter woke nonsense.
Well, the reason behind the 36 is because he wore that jersey in 2019 when he made his debut for Real Sociedad against Getafe. He then went on to play in that number 36 jersey like more than 50 times for that club before switching to 3 and 4. Obviously, 5 is available now at Arsenal, so maybe there were options, but he decided to go for the 36, and that is the number that he is going to play with. So get over it, ladies and gentlemen.
Until next summer when he changes it, and everyone's bought 36 of a Mendy shirts, and then they're gonna have to buy.
He'll do the right thing. He will refund everybody. The club will refund everybody that put 36 on his shirt. I don't know what the rules are behind that. Please don't quote me on that. There were a couple of people that were not impressed or excited about Zubimendi. One of them was someone called Detective. Sorry, the chat's moving so fast. I failed to. Here we go. Oh, no, that was one from. It basically just saying I'm something along the lines of I'm not excited by Zubimendi. Now, Detective, if you're in the chat still, please let me know why you think this may not be a good signing. Really interested to hear your thoughts. Please do let me know. KSSMYW, welcome to the show. Says Wayne is spot on. I mean, they're not even prime numbers. What an outrage. Wayne's lost it. His marbles are gone. He's joking. I love that.
It's all fun and games until Mosquera takes number 10, and then you'll all be fuming.
What's the announcement going to be like with our Peter? The Arsenal goal scorer, number 36, Martin Zubimendi.
That rolls off the tongue. It's quite nice. I don't, but exactly. I mean, when they announce the players, on the screen, it's going to be very bottom heavy in terms of our midfield is very much at the end of it, because they do it in number. They do it in number order, don't they? So they get.
They do. Mikey says, I've never seen a pass map like that. It's quite intense, let me tell you. Let's have a look at his positioning. This is his position map from last season. Give me the old thumbs up. 75% of his time as a defensive midfield player or playing deep, being that controller. He's played a quarter of his game time last season in central midfield. I think it's really obvious he's just going to be there. Well, is it obvious? Is he going to be the number 6? Is that what you're expecting?
Yeah, look at that. 75%. That is as number 6 as you get.
Some people say that Declan Rice is the best 6 in the game.
I think we've kind of... I still think that Declan Rice can play 6 at a very, very high level, but I think that he's kind of moved on now in what we need and how we're using him to more of that Steven Gerrard... Not Frank Lampard, because Frank Lampard was a lot higher, but like that Steven Gerrard type midfielder who was involved in all phases of the game, really impactful, very high up the pitch, and someone who was a lot more on the attacking side than defensively. But I think the positive thing about Declan Rice is he's got the engine and the legs to be able to get up and down, and he will be fantastic at either end of the pitch.
This chat's just absolutely tickled me. I love this. This is to you, Wayne, from N1AF. Crying over a number, grow up.
I'm sorry. No,
that's exactly how we feel.
There's a certain aesthetic that just comes with numbers.
My word. We're in the age where the football fans are running about aesthetics.
You'll all see when it's Gyökeres 14, you'll all cry.
No, I won't. So listen, Vig says lovely promotion as well. I saw the video. Really good. Very Declan Rice vibes. I guess, look, we can be positive about Gyökeres and Zubimendi. I do want to ask, Detective mentioned it. I don't know if he's still watching, but are there any downsides to this signing? Yem, you go first.
We don't know how he's going to settle. I think that's the only question. I think once he does settle, I can't see a massive downside. Physically, again, that's a good question, but he's played at the top level for Spain and been outstanding. When Rodri was injured, they went to Zubimendi. The facts speak for themselves. If you're going, Rodri was the World Player of the Year, and this guy, backed him up and was, so good that they didn't miss him. So, I think it's more about his ability to settle in, and that's why Arteta has tried to convince him for a number of years. We've got the players who have played with him to try and settle him in. I can't see a catastrophic downside to him, because I just think the way Arteta wants to play him, the position he's got in the defensive midfield as the 6, a passing 6, it just suits Arsenal. And he said it in his video. Arsenal was the club that stylistically suited him. This is the one that I think is just fits us perfectly. He's that jigsaw piece of the puzzle that is, rounded towards us.
Well, Viggs is absolutely sure he will settle in immediately. Wayne, any reservations around Martin Zubimendi, or is he the real deal?
I think he'll fit in quite easily and settle quite fine. Maybe the only question is about quickness across the ground. I know that we know he can sort of cover the ground well. And positionally, defensively, he's really, really good. But if there is one of those typical Premier League up and down games, how sort of quick is he across the ground in sort of that transition? That remains to be seen. He doesn't really have to do that for Spain, because they always have like 90% of the ball. So they're always in a solid sort of shape if they do get caught out. And Sociedad was a little bit different, because for a lot of their games anyway, they're probably at least level, if not the underdog in quite a few of them. I know that they performed well in La Liga recently, qualifying for European competitions, but the style of play in Spain is a little bit different. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quick he is across the ground. But again, his defensive sort of positioning and his defensive IQ is really top. So I don't think that should be a massive deal.
The other piece as well, and the last comment was about, Marino has struggled, but Marino didn't have the pre-season. He got injured pretty much, and he came quite late. Martin Zubimendi has the pre-season. I think that's just a massive boost for him understanding how the midfield works, how we play. You cannot underestimate.
But I also think that the transfer fee here plays a big role. If we're spending £60 million plus on this guy, and he's done what he's done for Spain, and he's turned down Real Madrid and turned down Liverpool, I expect him to hit the ground running. I'll be disappointed. I mean, the pace of the game might take him 1 or 2 games just to kind of get used to, because the sort of frenetic pace, the intensity of the Premier League is a surprise for anyone. It's a surprise for even academy players, that have been born and bred in this country, playing, in that sort of competition growing up. But like these guys who come from overseas, slower leagues, I get that, but I expect him to be adding value from day one. I expect him to be starting. Like Marina, I get it. People in the chat are saying, you've just said it, Yem, had a slow start, finish the season strong. I don't think we've got time. Arsenal have not got the time this season to let players get into the groove. This guy has to hit the ground running. Victor Gyökeres has to hit the ground running. I'm not saying, hat-trick at Old Trafford. I mean, that would be sweet. But like, if Victor Gyökeres starts the first 10 games for Arsenal, I'm expecting a return of 6-7 goals. Like if Zubimendi starts, the first 6-7 games for Arsenal, I'm expecting him to dictate and control the tempo from that sort of, second, third game. Like this is what we have to.
I think
Go on,
I was going to say, I think the big thing as well with Zubimendi in particular is we're not signing him at the time we were first linked to him. I think when we were first linked to him, he was 23 years old. He had hardly played for Spain by comparison, and he hadn't had sort of the European exposure with Sociedad that he had. We're signing him sort of at a prime peak age where he is, especially with Rodri's injury, he's now one of the most important players for that Spain team. So the level of responsibility he's got used to has completely changed. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he just comes in and assumes that responsibility for us as well.
Do you know what's exciting? What's exciting, Faisal, for the first time in a long time? Pre-season, I'm going to be watching completely eagle-eyed. I want to see how each of these players play, how Victor Gyökeres plays, how Zubimendi plays, how we're setting up. Because in the last couple of years, it's been pretty predictable how we're going to set up. But we're going into brand new territory. We've got a 6 who passes the ball around. We've got a 9 who is a pure number 9. So how we set up in these games is going to be so interesting.
Christophe Michel says hit the ground running also includes players knowing his strengths and rhythm on the pitch. And that is, I guess, to your point, Yem, about having that start in pre-season. Really, really important that he travels with a team, gets involved in friendlies, understands the environment that he's in. Whole Milk came back at me. Miles Lewis Skelly, what are you talking about, FK? Look, Miles Lewis Skelly is not the rule. He is the exception. This boy burst onto the scene and he has surpassed any of our wildest expectations. Now, probably the best left back in the Premier League, and of course England's number 1 left back as well. So he is absolutely not the normal. Let me tell you that. There was a super chat just before we move on. Addy, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Really appreciate your generosity. He asks, what goals and assists are we expecting for Gyökeres in the Premier League? That is a great question. So imagine we sign him, chaps. Imagine he stays fit throughout the season. What would be a return for you in the league? Yem, you look like you're in deep thought. So Wayne, you go first.
In the league only, I'd probably go for 22. I'm not expecting him to get that many
22
assists.
Goals and assists.
Yeah, I'm not expecting him to get that many assists, if I'm honest with you. I think we are going
7 assists last season and 39 goals. Obviously not going to do.
I'm not
22.
expecting.
That feels really high. How would you split that?
Like 20 goals, 2 assists.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't think he's going to be as heavily involved in sort of our build-up as maybe we've seen with our number 9s in the past, because he's not that type of player. I think we're going to see sort of a slight tweak to the way that we play and the way that we attack.
I'm going to put that to the viewing population. Yembele, 22 seems a little bit lean for me. What do you reckon?
I'm going to go 25 goals and assists, 20 goals, 5 assists. He will get goals because Marino, who was not a natural striker, got 9 goals in a period, in a decent period. So if you give a pure number 9 the chances that we create, he will get goals. So I think 20 is reasonable actually for the pedigree that he's supposed to be bringing. He does get some assists. He's a decent assister. So I'd expect some 5. I think 25 is reasonable. I hope I'm proven wrong and that he gets 30 and that he bangs out. I wouldn't care about the assist. For me, the assists don't matter. I really don't care about that. Goals is the currency I want from him. I want 30 goals. I want him, just being in the box and absolutely just taking chances as he gets them. I really do not care if he gets no assists this season. But if he scores me a hatful of goals that wins us games, I'm here for it.
Dan, welcome to the show. Says 20 goals, 8 assists is his expectation. A very popular one is 25. Donald says 25 goals alone in the Premier League. Well, listen, I've just sent out a poll in the chat, and the poll is I've forgotten the flipping options. What did I put? It was something like 15 to 18, 19 to 22, 23 to 27, 28 plus. So goals and assists for Victor Gyökeres in his first full season in the Premier League, should we get the gunman over the line. Babajide says 30 goals, 4 assists. I love how just specifically 4. 30 goals and 4 assists. Mikey's just shouting from the rooftop, impossible not to get goals with us.
30, with 30 goals, did Henry was the only one who got to 30 goals, wasn't it? I don't think Aubameyang got there, did he? Or Latte?
Aubameyang did not get 30 Premier League goals. I'd be amazed.
I
Wayne.
I think Henry was the only player who got to 30 league goals in the season.
For us, yeah. Like, it's not an easy thing to do.
No.
Like, 30 league goals is not easy.
It's not easy.
With the creativity that we have, we should be.
Everyone's saying RVP. What did RVP do?
Oh, yeah, RVP.
He may have
did. Yeah.
Well, look, my expectations of Victor Gyökeres, I would say I want him to get 18 Premier League goals next year and probably 6-7 assists. So what did you say, Yem? Did you say 25?
25, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much bang on. I think 25 goals and assists would probably be a reasonable return, because I'm trying to think. He's obviously not going to play all 38 Premier League games. So for me to say he's going to get 25 goals, it's unlikely, because Havertz is going to probably play quite a lot of game time. But I think 25 goals and assists would be a really good return in that first season. Whole Milk says 36 goals and assists just to pee Wayne off.
I'm not upset with the number 30. I'm not upset with the number 36. I'm upset.
You lot are the
with
best
Zubimendi's
hustlers.
Shirts.
I love it. I absolutely 36 says Michelage because it's a nice number. I love you guys. Forder says, imagine he breaks the record. Could you imagine that? Eh?
No,
Social Join says he runs the channels. He's going to get a lot of assists. Go on, Yem.
The record's already been broken, isn't it? I think Haaland broke it quite easily, didn't he?
Well, we shall see. I mean, look, the stats, if you're interested in a deep dive breakdown on Gyökeres, by the way, do check out today's Daily Grind show. It's on the channel feed, about half an hour long. We looked at all of his stats, shot accuracy, minutes per goal, all that sort of stuff. He missed 23 big chances last season, which when I was putting the stats together, I thought, wow, that's a lot of chances missed. But it's actually just one more than Erling Haaland. So very, very comparable. But of course, he made up for it by scoring a shit ton more. Right, let's move on from Martin Zubimendi, and let's talk about, in fact, let's keep the poll active for a bit more. Let's talk about Noni Madueke. We covered this on the Daily Grind from a couple of days ago because the news was breaking. Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein have now confirmed that personal terms have been agreed. Arsenal are now negotiating with Chelsea. Rumours about Wanyeri and rumours about Max Dowman tonight. We'll come on to your thoughts on that in just a second. But how did this move grab you? Because we did Friday night's late night lounge. There wasn't any sort of mention of this. The news then came out Saturday, right? Have I got the timeline right? It came out yesterday. Yeah, it did. So how do you feel about this? Yeah, you're not looking too convinced.
Depends on what he's coming in as. If this is the primary winger signing, I am not particularly pleased about this one. If it is as what we hope it would be, a true backup to Saka, then I'm grudgingly accepting. There's a couple of things here for me that I'm not particularly feeling. The fee, which is touted at 30 or 40 million, is way too high for a player of this level. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of that. I think he's all right. I think he's too inconsistent. From when I've seen him, he's too inconsistent. Well,
let me challenge you on that, because I too felt some reservation about the fee. But we're talking about a 23-year-old boy who plays for Chelsea, who is an England international. So that sort of homegrown premium. He's got a very bright future ahead of him, because let's be grown up about it. He's not a bad player. You can't be a bad footballer if you played for your country and you play for Chelsea. Chelsea have stockpiled so much talent. He's still getting game time. Look, he was at Spurs. They released him. He then went out to PSV, had a really good sort of spell there before Chelsea spotted him. He's not a bad player. So that's why we're paying, or we might end up paying 40, potentially 50 million pounds. But like, I've got to ask the questions. Chat, don't get disappointed at me. I'm not backing up the club, and I'm not on the payroll. Well, I could be on the payroll, but I'm just trying to get the debate flowing. Yeah.
No, and that's fair. I will push back on a few of them. He's not homegrown, so that's one area we know that he's English, but he's technically not a homegrown player, so he won't count towards the.
Is he not?
He won't count towards the limit.
How does that? What?
He hasn't spent English? No, because to be homegrown, you have to spend a certain portion of your youth playing in the English system. He didn't. He went to PSV. Yes. William Saliba is homegrown, technically.
You've thrown me there. Okay, so you've nullified that, but go on.
I will. So again, then we're talking about you're saying he's an England international. Let's be honest. In that attacking form, it doesn't take much to be there. The reason I am reticent about 30 to 40 million is 30 to 40 million that could be spent better elsewhere. Now, if it's 30 to 40 million at the end of our thing, and the order, again, we don't know how it's playing out because we've got, other transfers on the go as well. I just have concerns with giving it to Chelsea again. We keep going back to Chelsea and we keep shopping there. And unfortunately, the Chelsea ratio of good players to bad players is still heavy on they have been rubbish on the most part. So I am concerned that if this goes through, that we're spending money on a player that, is he going to come as first? He won't be the first choice right winger. That's pretty obvious because Saka is way ahead of him. There is no question on that. So what is he coming as? Is he coming as a second string player? Doesn't seem like he would do that necessarily when he's still a star at Chelsea. Is he the right winger? I really hope not, because he's not very good there when I've seen him. As a left winger, he's not very good there. And you'd hope that we're looking at someone a little bit more of a level raiser. The optics on this just does not seem right to me. From everything I see, I'm just not convinced on this. But it's again, if we get all of the primary transfers that we want, the Rodrigo, the Eze, etc., then I'm fine with it, because it's then the after party effectively, as in we gain an extra player who is a decent winger, or as an extra. But if it is a primary signing that is an alternative to Rodrigo or Eze, no, I'm not happy with that one.
Just staying with you, Yem, Forder on Football, who's watching and has been watching for the start. Thank you so much. We're just about an hour in. Says, question, does 50k a week change the optics? Now, listen, I don't think it's going to be 50k. He's on currently £40,000 a week at Chelsea. So financially, a move of, let's say, for argument's sake, 40 million fee, and let's say his wages go up to 80k a week, 100 grand a week, right? Do the finances of it make sense to you, Yem?
No, because 80 grand, again, 40 to 50 million, 80 grand a week, no. Okay. I've heard also rumours that the personal terms they've agreed are kind of equivalent to what he's got right now.
Oh, really?
Potentially. Again, these are all rumours. That changes it. But again, we're still spending 30 to 40, 50 million for that. And I'm still not
30 to 40, 50 million. That's quite a big range.
But if it's 30 million, I could swallow it a little bit more, because that's a lower range fee. 40 million, I'm not particularly enthused by it, but I'll understand it. 50 million, absolutely not. I am not paying 50 million for Noni Madueke.
There is no need to be upset. Louis, he's done it. Louis, he's done it. I love that. Wayne, what are your thoughts on the links with Noni Madueke? I mean, look, let me just go first by saying we obviously all want backup for Bukayo Saka. We saw what happened to him last season. Ethan Nwaneri, for whatever reason, and I'm sure Hand of Arsenal will reveal in the next day or two what that was about, didn't get much game time towards the back end of the season. And many would argue that he's just not ready. Physically, he's just not ready. I know Miles Lewis-Skelly is doing it at left back. He just feels physically more developed, and maybe it's a different position. But beyond Reece Nelson, I mean, if I said to you, Wayne, this is an upgrade on Raheem Sterling, that changes the optics of it. How do you feel about the move?
FK, you'd be an upgrade on Raheem Sterling. I don't want us paying 50 million for you at this point. I think our good friend Wally put it best when he tweeted earlier, no need Madueke. That's what he is. I'm not a fan of this move really at all. Yes, I 100%. I've been screaming it on this show, on our phone-ins, wherever anyone sort of listens, for backup for Saka for years. However, there are so many potential what ifs if this goes ahead that I can't sit here knowing sort of the club will be able to do the rest of it. And what I mean by that is, if we sign Madueke, does that mean we get Eze? We don't know. If we sign Madueke, does that mean we potentially go for Rodrigo as well? Because I'm of the opinion that we need, forget Madueke for a second, we need both an Eze type, someone that can be that sort of extra playmaker either in midfield or across the front line, and somebody that can help Ødegaard or replace Ødegaard in sort of those playmaker situations, and someone who is a pure out-and-out left winger. I still think we need both of those signings. Yes, we need a backup for Bukayo Saka, but what does this mean for the future of Ethan Nwaneri? He may not necessarily be a long-term right winger, but he is someone who can come in and deputise for Bukayo Saka right now. And we've seen it. He's had that quality on that right-hand side. And if he's somebody who's willing to play there and he's not blatantly saying to Mikel Arteta, no, I'm not playing on the right-hand side, there's no evidence that that's ever been the case, why would we go for Madueke over playing Nwaneri more? I know that he wasn't necessarily the most physically ready at the end of last season, but last season was his first at the highest level. He's going to be more physically ready with a preseason. He's going to be more physically ready with a whole season under his belt this year. So I don't quite understand the Madueke deal. And I think it's one of those ones where you only know, I guess, how good or how bad it is at the end of the window. If you can sit here and say to me and guarantee me that Arsenal will sign Eze, sign Rodrigo, keep Nwaneri and get him signed on a new deal, then go for it. Sign Madueke. That's extra numbers in attack that we didn't have before. He's someone that can come in, deputise for Saka quite well, give him competition, and I'm all for it. But if signing Madueke means that Nwaneri's tempted to leave and not sign that new deal, or we're unable to financially push for that Eze deal, or we get Eze, but we're then not able to push for a natural out-and-out fast left winger, then no, I'm not for it. And I think we've seen with this club, I know that it's a different summer under Berta and things seem to be moving in a different way, but we've seen with the club, this isn't a Berta thing, this isn't an Arteta thing. Financially, we've always kind of done a deal that maybe hinders us a bit later on in the summer, and we've not been able to do a deal in an area that we've needed it to. So that would just be the allocation of resources for this at 40+ million would be a real concern for me.
Let's talk about the resources because, again, Ganapana sort of mentioned this earlier. It's really had me thinking all day. You know, we wanted Joan Garcia, prepared to pay 25-30 million quid, ended up getting Kepa for 5. We were interested in a link with a move for Jarell Hato. Forgive me for butchering his surname. 35-40 million quid, ending up looks like getting Christian Mosquera for 15 million. We wanted Sesko, 80-90 million quid is the asking price. We are probably going to settle on about 58-59 million quid for Victor Gyökeres. There is, it would seem, money available. And Ornstein has come out recently, Hand of Arsenal has come out recently saying that actually that the Eze move is separate to a wide player move, which is separate to a striker move. The coffers are there. And of course, let's not forget, last January, nothing. The summer window, a lone goalkeeper, Raheem Sterling, Calafiori, obviously that sort of left back, but it looks like Arteta's got his left back fixed with Gabby Heinze this time. There is money there. And you're absolutely spot on, Wayne. If we come to the end of the window and we haven't got our left wide player and we haven't got, maybe our target striker and we have brought in Madueke, then I have real concern. But the fact remains, we still need adequate cover for Bukayo Saka. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be Ethan Nwaneri. Now, that could be because he's not ready. It could be because maybe Arteta's thinking about him playing more centrally. There's been talk about him maybe, learning to play the sort of number 9 role. I don't know, but it could be a central creative role. Who knows? But and also, none of us have mentioned this, but Bukayo Saka has come back from a serious injury, serious rehab where he missed half of our season. And it pains me to say, as amazing as the goal was in the Bernabeu, the little dink over Thibaut Courtois, we all remember it, fantastic. He hasn't looked his usual self. He hasn't been as explosive as we saw pre-injury. So maybe the club are going to learn from their mistakes. Maybe Arteta's thinking, right, we're going to protect Saka. We're going to not let him see out full 90 minutes. We're going to maybe play him, 3 in every 4 games. So there is a real need for someone to come in, and that floor needs to be raised because Ranieri, let's face it, very, very talented, scored a number of good goals last season across all competitions, but isn't maybe ready for that pressure, it would seem. And I agree with you, Wayne. I don't want to lose Ethan Ranieri, nor do I even want to consider Max Dowman. I mean, Chelsea just being total twats about that. But like, those two players are very special players for the future. But again, it comes down to how much time have we got? How much luxury has Mikel got? Maybe this is a case of saying, right, we're going to lose our number one goalkeeper target, maybe not pursue Šeško, maybe not go for a luxury left back in Hato, and just buy where we're short. No?
It could be the case, but I think you can do better than Madueke then if that's the case. If you're going...
But better than Madueke means more money.
But you're talking about us having the money, and you're talking about us. And Madueke is not going to be a small amount. We're not getting him for 10, 15 million. They're talking about sort of 40 to 50s. You can
$50 million? Are you thinking what? Chelsea Clinton?
Oh man, what a movie that was!
What a movie!
You wouldn't be able to get away with it in today's today's
no,
cinema.
Let's not.
But yeah, that's a great movie reference. But yeah, you can get better than Madueke for that sort of money. You can get, and this is where I've had this conversation with you guys on this show before. The Chelsea deal is always the easy one, and I'm fed up of doing the easy deals. Why have we not got some sort of database, sort of scouts, analysts have gone out and said, these are the available right wings. They're younger, they're cheaper, they're low wages, whatever it might be, and able to come in and push. Why are we not looking outside at other leagues? There's players at other leagues that could do what Madueke does. I think the big thing that everyone's sort of said in Madueke is, oh, he's Prem proven. Is he? What
No.
he doesn't. He's not really scored very many goals. He's not really got very many assists, and it's not as though he's someone that's coming in and it's like he's a guaranteed game changer. His end product is a bit hit and miss, and I just don't get it. And at least, do you know what? At least with this deal, if we're going to get him from Chelsea, leave it a couple of weeks where you don't know what Chelsea's financial situation is going to be in terms of income in. If you leave it longer, you might be able to get a bit of a better deal. I know that we're not necessarily going to sign him tomorrow, but they seem to be in sort of, they've got themselves in financial trouble with UEFA. They keep spending and spending and spending. At some point, players have to go. You could get yourself a little bit of a better deal if you just kind of leave it. But like I said, if he is the addition to Eze and Rodrigo, I'm all for it. Make sure you do it. But if not him in particular, but if this money, that resource, stops us from getting one of the other ones, then I just think it's a little bit silly. And FK, I'm not going to lie to you. The biggest concern that I have and the biggest realization I had the other day is if Mudryk wasn't suspended for drugs, we would be signing him this summer.
Probably. I mean, wow. Look, listen, just on the stats, Noni Madueke, he's played for 3 years in the Premier League with Chelsea. 67 games, 20 of those appearances off the bench, so 47 starts. And in 47 starts, he's got 13 goals. He's exceeded his cumulative XG of 9.64 in that time, and 5 assists with his expected assists of 3.15. Personally, I am absolutely traumatized by the Chelsea link. You know, we got to stop buying players from those shit houses. It also feels particularly frustrating, galling, that any fee we pay them allows them to go and strengthen their squad, and any fee we pay them allows them to overcome any fines from UEFA or pay for the fine that they've just been recently handled. And I hate the idea of strengthening them. So from that aspect, if I take that Chelsea sort of cap off for a second, as a player, he's young, he's an England international, he's a right-sided player that can play left. He's obviously a good player, maybe not a great one, maybe a promising player. I can understand why Arsenal are doing it, but I completely recognise and understand why so many Arsenal fans don't want it. Just while you guys were talking, I brought up on screen the Squawka comparison to Gabby Martinelli. Much more of an aggressive sort of dribbler, loves to take on his fullback, wins more fouls, has more touches in the opposition box. Now, of course, this is quite reflective of how both teams and both players have played. Shoots more in a game as well, but interestingly has a similar number of goals per game, 0.4 per 90, but not as generous when it comes to chance creation. Quite greedy on the ball is what I hear from Chelsea supporters that I follow on the socials. Can I just go back to the Victor Gyökeres poll, by the way? It was somewhere. Where are you? I asked the chat, how many goals and assists would you expect Victor Gyökeres to deliver in his first full season at Arsenal, if, of course, the signing goes through? And would you believe it? I cannot find the poll in the chat. You guys, this is so active. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. We've got just shy of 1,000 people watching live on YouTube. I think this is a record for a late night lounge. So very, very grateful for all the love, all the support, all the chat. Do like the video before you go. It's completely free, and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Here we go. 23 to 27 is the most popular G&A return for Gyökeres, 36%, just over a third of you. The other third of you went for 19 to 22. 13% of you are in Wayne's camp, 15 to 8. No, you said 22, didn't you, Wayne?
Yeah, what are you on about?
Yeah, 13% went to 15 to 18. And wow, 17% of you, almost 1 in 5 of you think he's going to smash 28 plus in his first season. Wow. Let's go to some of the, do you know what? I was just going to say, let's go to some of the chat, but I can't even. It's wild. It's so fast. Might have to do a subs only chat from now on. Who knows? But look, Noni Madueke, let's watch, see how this unfolds. I think, Wayne, I like your point about we can wait on this. We can play on this. We know that he wants out. We know that Maresca doesn't really like him. We've obviously agreed personal terms, and that's a great card for us to play beforehand, so we know exactly the player's mindset. And knowing now that he has agreed and wants to play for Arsenal, that is particularly toxic for them in their camp.
Can I ask one question? Because I don't know this personally. Obviously, Pedro Neto is left-footed right winger. Is Esteval also a left-footed right winger? I don't know his position. You know the guy they got from Palmeiras.
Oh, the 18-year-old wonder kid who scored an amazing goal the other night. I have no idea. Maybe the chat can educate us on that. Have you heard of Google? Yeah.
I have. I'll I will check it. I will check it out right now.
V Vlad says Madueke has an awful injury record too. No to Noni is popular. And Tise 4422 says big ups Latte Firm from 100 degrees Kansas City. Sesko is a must buy. Not going to happen.
He's left-footed, right winger, left-footed. This is probably why Noni Madueke is probably going to be surplus requirements. But to Wayne's point, why don't you wait till the end until it becomes desperate?
And it doesn't have to be surplus to requirements at Arsenal is the point. I'm sure there are other clubs that would be interested in having him. Dan, welcome to the show. How are you all? Have I missed much? Only an hour of elite content. Rewind it, my friend. Watch it back on demand. And of course, if you guys do want to watch this in shorter bursts, you can, of course, download them as audio on Apple and Spotify, normally about 24 hours after the show goes. Right, let's get towards the home straight. And that is, of course, Andrea Berta. A couple of questions. First up, how do you think he's doing? Second question is, I've never known a transfer window to be so exciting is the wrong word. Busy. Like every other day, it feels like we're agreeing terms, we're speaking to players, speaking to the player camps without actually speaking to the clubs. I feel like this is a new tactic that Arsenal are employing. Now, at the risk of tapping players up, I'm sure we're doing it with club permission. But like the free will at which journalists and the Hand of Arsenal are sort of reporting on all of these sorts of conversations. I guess my question to you both and the chat, what do you make of Andrea Berta so far this window? It's his first transfer window. There's a lot of pressure on him. He's just getting to know Arteta. They've obviously just replaced a senior coach within their setup in Gabby Heinze. He's come in and tried to secure contracts of a number of players, and they're going pretty well. It's all pretty good from where I'm sitting, Wayne.
I love it. I absolutely love it. He's doing his job in a very, the best way I could put it is in a very professional and diligent manner. And I think the biggest issue that we've had as a club in the past let's say 18 to 24 months in particular, but it's been longer than that. It's been going back to Wenger days, really, and it doesn't really matter whether it's an Arteta thing, an Edu thing, a Raul thing, a Wenger thing. Previously, we've only had one option. And if we don't get that one option, we don't sign a player. So if you think back to last summer for striker, it was Benjamin Sesko or nothing. We ended up with nothing. We obviously moved on to Calafiori and Marino, but we left with no striker. Previously, it was Nico Williams or nothing. We kind of left that left wing position completely free for Nico Williams. We didn't end up getting him. We ended up getting nothing. Going all the way sort of back to Wenger days. If he didn't get the striker he wanted, he wouldn't get a striker. And I think that has cost us a lot more than a lot of fans either necessarily want to talk about or we want to admit. And I think that this year, that is the complete opposite. We've got like 3 options per position, and you might want to argue about the level of quality of the player. But I love the fact that we've got options now, and it tends to play out in our favour. Just look at the Gyökeres situation. We've got the option of Gyökeres, we've got the option of Sesko. Gyökeres really wanted to make the deal happen. So we managed to get a beneficial money-wise deal for us, and we're now going to get a number 9 that the club want. We wanted to do that with Sesko. He didn't necessarily go all the way to try and make Leipzig uncomfortable or make them change their stance on the money. So we've gone in another direction. Again, if this was a different ownership, or if Eddie was still here, or if what sort of stories to be believed, Arteta was the only one calling the shots, we may have just been Sesko until the end of the summer and then sign no one, or we pay the 90 million and do that late on in the window. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is that level of option, and I think it's a really professional thing to do. And I think that as a big club, look, having all of these relationships with other teams and other directors and whatnot, it's nice, like it's lovely, but that's not going to get you trophies. It's not going to get you players. It's not going to force these players to come to you. And the way that Berta's doing it, it kind of is. It's forcing agents' hands, it's forcing clubs' hands, and I really, really like it.
I guess on the flip side, EM, as has been just asked by Viggs, or the observation, it's kind of annoying me. All these links, I know he means that tongue in cheek, but like, actually, is there too much going on, Yem? Are we perhaps getting a little bit carried away? Because there is every chance, and let's face it, Kepa and Zubimendi are the 2 that we've got over the line. Norgard, I guess, is incoming. Mosquera incoming, potentially Gyökeres. Like, we still got a lot of work to do, but is it playing mind games with you at all?
No, it's. I agree with Wayne and most of the consensus that this is more exciting. We know that we have options. Whether we get all of them is completely different, because there's so many factors. We talked about, was it Gyökeres or Sesko? Now it looks like it's moving towards Gyökeres, but that's for a logical reason. There's logic to the chaos, which is what you want, at least, that he is trying to spin a lot of plates, but when he executes, he's pretty quick at executing. We saw it with Christian Norgard, saw it with Kepa. These were done pretty quickly. Christian Mosquera is one that he's executing on quite quickly. I just think that obviously when it comes to the more complex deals, he has a certain approach, which is obviously, I want to make sure that I get the right deal at the right price, and I don't want to engage in silly games, which is what's happened looks like with Sesko's camp, because they've asked for too much. RB Leipzig have asked for too much, so he said, "Thanks very much, I'm moving on." I think this is a good approach from an experienced hand. No disrespect to Edu, but Edu, it was his first club job as a director of football. He'd been the Brazilian national federation director, but it was his first job there, and he did well. He did okay. But I was expecting more with Berta, obviously, because Andrea Berta has got the pedigree behind him. He's been with Juventus and he's been with Atletico Madrid, so you would expect much more of a professional approach and a much more concerted approach as a director of football, because he's had the experience of multiple leagues, multiple engagements, built up a contact book, and really what he's doing now, I like it. I like how he's doing things. He's not allowing the agenda to be set by the other parties. He is the one setting the agendas. He is the one driving it. If you don't like what he's doing, then that's fair. He will go off to find the people who do like it, like Gyökeres' camp, who want to join Arsenal, who want to play for the club, who are willing to give up money. He wants those kind of deals to be done. He has been given the remit by the club, by Arteta. Here is the pool of money. This is what we need. Go out and find it. And that's what I expect from a top-level professional. When you hire the best, you expect the best. You want him to go, okay, I can do this. When he did his interview, I would expect him to say, I can do this. I can get these players done in. And this is what my approach is. I go this way. I do this. This should be nothing new for the club, and it should be nothing that scares them because they should already know that this is how he operates. I like it. I like that he's different. He's unsettling the negotiating teams. He's not being this kind of comfort blanket for clubs and agents. He is a chaos factor, and I would rather have the chaos and try to ensure we get the best deal for the club, because regardless of is a player contract renewal, a sale, or a buy, you want to maximize the return on that deal. I think that's what Andrea Berta's MO is. I want to maximize the deal. He's already said, if you want to buy Zinchenko, put a fair price down. Absolutely 100% in for that. He's setting the bar about what he wants. And previously we've had Edu who said like, well, we'll settle at this and do this. And he's gone with Raheem Sterling at the last minute, which he wasn't particularly happy with. I don't expect Berta to do that. There may be some bumps along the road because, again, this is his first foray into English football. But so far, I've been impressed with how he's operated.
I think just the FK, just on that question that you flashed up previously, sort of about it being a little bit annoying. Manny K put in the chat a really, really good point that the media are having a field day manipulating fans, and I don't think it's a case of Berta and all of these links are annoying fans. I think the over saturation of news and the over reporting of it is what's annoying fans, and that's not Berta's responsibility. He's doing his job, but it's the likes of the Fabrizio Romanos and stuff like that. They're also doing their job that's oversaturating and over invested in news and constantly updating. I think that's what's annoying now, because all of that news is being leaked rather than what Berta's doing.
Yeah, I think in the day and age of social media, things just come out and they come out sooner. And we know how complex and complicated these sort of transfer dealings and moves and negotiations can be. And, going back to Yemen my day, you'd wait for that page to flicker on teletext for that sort of club call, Gunners linked with Dutch Star, and you have to call up some premium number just to find out who the Dutch Star was. And then you'd get it on CFAX or teletext or on the back of the Evening Standard as the Sun, Arsenal sign, whatever. And it was super exciting. Do you remember, like the day we signed Dennis Bergkamp, like the newspaper cuttings? But now everything is like, you hear about it, like the Zubimendi thing, you hear about it like a year before it happens. And like, you finally come along to every window thinking, right, is this, it's like that sort of meme where you've got the cartoon stick man sort of, come on, Arsenal, do something, sort of poking him with the stick. Like, where's the progress? And in this day and age where social media is constant 24/7 and everything is immediate with the power of tech, like your expectations have just changed. So I know it's really frustrating, but I got to say, just on the Berta thing, before we wrap up and take maybe 2 or 3 questions from the chat, I find it refreshing. I love it. And, not just because I'm a content creator, not just because I'm an Arsenal fan and we crave signings, but I love how, chaos factor, Yembele called it. We're unpredictable. We're making mad moves in the market, talking to people that we want to, that we have some sort of interest in. Andrea Berta is lining these options up so that when the club is ready to press whatever button it wants to press and whatever direction we want to go in, we just execute the move. And like, he's lining up all of his ducks. And I love that. And I love the fact that we're speaking to Sesko's camp and Gyökeres's camp and maybe even Watkins's camp. There were rumors that we were maybe linked with Hugo Ekitike as well. I'm sure maybe we've had conversations, but like, we're playing them off against each other, leverage in each of these situations, and it puts the power in our hands. That's the biggest change, and it's so refreshing. And you know what? We've grown up in the transfer market. I appreciate the acid test is what can Berta do with regards to sales, but if you think about contract renewals, if you think about the coaching setup, if you think about obviously what we've done so far in Zubimendi and Kepa and potentially Norgard and hopefully Gyökeres, we're moving in the right direction. And that's really pleasing. And I think that's where we're probably going to end it. So last couple of questions. Leon, great question. Who else needs to leave? And what monies can we expect for said players? I mean, there's links of Gabby Martinelli potentially out to Saudi. How much would you sell Martinelli for?
Nothing less than 70.
I'd go more. Than that.
That's on a very low scale. Scale.
If it's going Saudi, then I'd go for 100 million, because I've seen players move for that amount, because you're talking about someone who's young, who's got a high ceiling, and going to to that league. It just feels like we'd be underselling him.
Trossard?
I'd be happy with about 20 for him, but
Yeah,
I might be in the
break even,
minority. Yeah.
20 million is again, he's 31 now. It just feels, we paid 30 million for him, and
a year left on his deal, is it?
Yeah, 20 million is acceptable.
Let's see. I just have to double take at that profile pic. Doesn't that look like Jeremy Frimpong?
It is Frimpong.
It is Frimpong.
Mo Wasso says, am I the only one thinking that we need extra legs in midfield that we can really run? Like, who's the replacement for Declan Rice? So let me rephrase the question. If it is just to be Zubimendi and Norgard, is that enough legs in midfield, gents?
No. But I get the feeling that Miles Lewis-Skelly may be pushed into midfield occasionally. Ricardo Calafiori go to left back. I just think that if we don't sign someone, it doesn't feel like we're looking at anybody in particular. I mean, you've got Eze as well, potentially, who can run in the midfield. He can ball carry very well. He's not defensive. He doesn't transition from a defensive posture to attack, but he can carry the ball. But if you're looking for an out like for like Declan Rice, I'm not saying 100% like for like, but Miles Lewis-Skelly is probably where you're going to. I feel it's going to happen because I still think he will end up in the midfield long term.
Well, I would like someone who just sort of eats up the grass, and having a Declan Rice Jr. is exactly that. Someone like a Morgan Rogers. I know he's a bit more attacking, but it's probably not going to happen. And actually, I think with Norgard coming in, we're going to get more from Norgard, hopefully, than we did from Jorginho and certainly Elneny. Wayne, any thoughts on this?
No, I think it depends on what you mean really by extra legs, because I think all of these players can cover the ground. It's just if you're talking about quickly, obviously.
No, but then there's covering the ground, and then there's just eating up the grass. Vieira, Yaya, that sort of Declan Rice, that sort of profile where they just, do you know what I mean? Like they just.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But are we that sort of team? We should never really. I guess with our defensive structure, we're never really in a position where you need to run back like that.
Do you know what's just coming to my mind? Oh, yeah, you're going to love this. Do you remember that clip from Goal, the movie, where the coach is doing that drill with Santiago, where he's just kicking the ball long and he's like, run as fast as you can. Yeah. And what's he teaching him? The ball travels faster than the man. There you go. I've waited all this time to use it. My job here is done. Thank you, Mo, Jeremy, for that question. Really appreciate it. Grumpy Doctor says, if we are ever going to get our revenge for RVP, who are we signing?
The Man United are too crap for that. There's no good enough players.
Alejandro.
Stop it. I'd rather Madueke.
There you go. That's what it took to get Madueke in. Right. What else? Sorry, the chat's wild. Let's take one more at random. Lots of people saying they love Morgan Rogers. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? By the way, this is my question to you. Are you expecting Max Dowman to play any role next season?
Yeah, I expect him to play some games. I expect him to get some minutes. I expect him to be on some benches, but I wouldn't be putting a whole season on his shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fine. Last question before we wrap up.
No, good night. See you later.
No. I put him as a must-price signing, but I didn't. I actually wanted to materialise.
No, you can't end it on a Rashford question. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's not end it on a Rashford question. Let's go to 1 second. Max Dowman. Lots of questions about Leo Trossard. Grumpy Doctor just says, I'm so happy the stream gets so big. We got City Trolls now. We gargantuan. Have we got City Trolls? Didn't even recognize them. Just like I don't recognize a team. Oh, here we go. Citizen Nation. Hey, Arsenal clowns. Congrats on getting bums as a City fan. We will beat you senseless. Thank you, God bless. Senseless, like we beat you, like we battered you at the Emirates, boy. Wait until we slap you again. I don't know if there is a question. There are just... Oh, here we go. Well, last question. Are you disappointed that we kept relations with RB Leipzig strong and didn't try for something in January? Nothing materialised from strong relations. Referring to the Šeško case, could have had him last year for as little as £42 million last summer. Any regrets, chaps?
No, because the fact is that by all accounts, both parties had changes in the people who were maintaining those relations. Obviously, RB Leipzig had Jurgen Klopp who came in, and we had Andrea Berta come in, and then obviously that all changed. This is just how football is. If RB Leipzig are asking for crazy money, okay, fair dues, but you're not going to get the business to match that because he's not. He's a good player, but he's not worth the fees being touted. No club will be.
Mate,
if someone is,
for me, it's not even about the worth. It's just asking us to pay it up front. Maybe we could have got him last summer. Maybe that was an opportunity missed. But the reality is, I guess we ended up with Raheem Sterling. That is obviously a regret. But maybe that, I don't know. For whatever reason, we didn't buy him, and there must have been a reason at the time. I'm going to give the club the benefit of the doubt. Right, I think we're going to end it there. What a tremendous show it's been. I hope you guys have really enjoyed that. I think we've had record numbers for a live late night lounge. Now, of course, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, this is Friday Night Heritage, the late night lounge. Every Friday night at the end of your week, tune in. We enjoy snacks. We talk about all things Arsenal, and we just have a jolly good time. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this bonus one. If you are interested in further content, do check out the channel feed. We've got the daily grinds. And I've got to say, last thing before I go, O. Clark saying FK moving out with the stream is lately brilliant. I'm actually away with my family for 3 days this week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's not going to be any content. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to record a special one-off show with Tom Canton and hopefully release that at some point in the evening. And then on Friday, we'll be back with a late night lounge and we'll be back with a daily grind thereafter. And I've got some massive guests lined up from the likes of James Dean. James Dean? I've just made
James Dean. Wow.
James
Dean.
Dean.
From the day.
James Dean. James Bench. Sam Dean. All your Arsenal regulars as well. Some great guests that we've had in the first few weeks of this show. And you know what? The messages have been going on fire, gents, about the daily grinds. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do once the season starts, but maybe on a non-match day, we might just have like a daily show. Who knows? Let's see where we go. But listen, thank you for tuning in. 800 of you watching live right now on YouTube. All I ask is that you drop a like on the video before you go. And if you do like what you have heard, please do subscribe to Latte Firm. It is a joy to make these sorts of shows, and it's fantastic to have all of you in the chat. Thank you so much for your nice messages. Wayne can be found on socials at Wayne'sWorld20_. Yem can be found on socials at Verge59. And of course, when he's not on YouTube, he's often on TNT Sports. And of course, Red Lines and Half Spaces, Yembele's podcast, Can You Believe It? Wayne and Metro, their podcast as well. And if you enjoy the show, you want to support on Patreon, head over to patreon.com, a lovely growing community there of people. Prizes will be back for the new season, access to match tickets, giveaways, shirt giveaways, and general chit chat. And you get ad-free content, which I know bugs a lot of you, but I've put it on the lowest setting possible on YouTube. We'll leave it there. Look after yourselves. Tomorrow is another day. I wonder what bombers will be dropped on us tomorrow. Let us wait and see to see how the transfer news kind of picks up. Take care. Sleep well. Bye for now.